Nucleus. Each nucleus has double membrane. It is a spherical structure having inner and outer membrane. These membranes have some gaps in between, like this. This is one membrane, inner and outer membrane, like this way. So some gap is present between this membrane. It is known as nucleopore. So this is nuclear membrane. Which is double layered. And the gap between the two is known as nucleopore. Through which the substance can move from nucleus to cytoplasm. Inside the nucleus is some substance which is present. This is jelly-like substance, just like cytoplasm. It is present inside the nucleus. This is known as nucleoplasm. So nucleoplasm and cytoplasm gets continued through nucleopore. Nucleoplasm contains some thread-like structure in the center, a network of thread-like structures like this is present in the center. This is known as genetic material or chromatin network. It is present in the network form known as chromatin material. So this is the basic structure of the nucleus. Now this chromatin material which is present in the center here, this is the genetic material which is present in this network form when the cell is non-dividing. When cell is non-dividing, it is present like this. When the cell starts dividing, at the time cell division occurs, then these threads separates and each of the cell thread start condensing itself. See here, it is long, then slowly and slowly it reduces its size, it becomes thicker and rod-like structure like this. So when it becomes this rod-like structure, it is known as chromosome. So always remember, chromosome appears only at the time of cell division, not in non-dividing cell. So this appears only when the cell is dividing. What does this chromosome consist of? Chromosome consists of DNA. So we can say that this chromosome, which actually appears like this, This has DNA. DNA is ladder-like structure like this. Two strings are there. So this chromosome is made up of DNA. DNA is, the full form of DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. This is the thing which contains the information for heredity. Deoxyribonucleic acid. And a piece of DNA. So, suppose this is one piece. This is another piece. So a piece of DNA which is separated functionally is known as gene. So what is gene? It is a segment of, you can say segment or piece of DNA. So segment of DNA is present here on DNA, and DNA is present here chromosome. Chromosomes is this chromatin network. So you understand this, when the cell is non-dividing, it is present in the form of chromatin threads. When cell divides, it becomes chromosomes, and a segment of chromosome is called gene. Okay. Now this is very, very important. Nucleus is very important because it is the one which makes the cell functional. Okay. So let us see the functions of nucleus. Functions of nucleus. First is it controls all the functions of the cell. It is the boss of the cell, so it controls the whole cell. All the cell organelles are in control of nucleus. It controls whole cell. And secondly, it helps in cell division. It helps in cell division. And thirdly, it helps in passing the genetic characters from one generation to another, or it passes the heredity characters it passes the heredity or genetic characters from one generation to another. These are the important function of nucleus. Okay. Right? So the information of passing of the genetic characters from one generation to another that is stored in the chromosomes or DNA, and then it passes from one generation to another. So this is the structure, simple structure of the nucleus, where the nucleus is bounded by the cell membrane. Such type of nucleus is called as eukaryotic nucleus. Eukaryotic nucleus. And the cell in which it is present is known as eukaryotic cell. This is present in advanced organisms, but in other organisms the nucleus is not like this. It is primitive, without cell, without this nuclear membrane. So there is another type of nucleus which is called as prokaryotic nucleus. Prokaryotic nucleus is present in prokaryotic cells. That means if a cell have prokaryotic nucleus, then that cell is known as prokaryotic cell. Right? So it is the primitive, and it is present in organisms like bacteria, blue-green algae. So this is here the nucleus is poorly defined, not well defined. So it is like this, that nuclear membrane is absent. It is not covered with the nuclear membrane. Prokaryotic nucleus do not have nuclear membrane. That means the genetic material is present without membrane, it is naked. So suppose this is the genetic material, and it is the whole bacterial cell. This bacterial cell, this is rods-like structure, is the bacterial cell. Here are the flagellus for the bacteria. Right? So this structure which is present here, it is not known as nucleus, but it is known as nucleoid. So nucleus is not well defined in the prokaryotic cell organisms. Such nucleus is not known as nucleus, but it is known as nucleoid. That means without cell membrane. Without nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is absent, then it is known as nucleoid. So we can say that there are two types of cells on the basis of the nucleus, and some more differences are there. So let us study prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. One difference between them, we know that the nucleus is not well defined in case of prokaryotic cell, and it is well defined with the nuclear membrane in eukaryotic cell. Let us study the differences between the two. First difference is that prokaryotic cells are small in size as compared to eukaryotic cell. They are generally large in size. Second difference between the two is that the nuclear region is do not have nuclear membrane or is poorly defined. Nuclear region in prokaryotic cell do not have nuclear membrane and is known as nucleoid. So this is known as prokaryotic nucleus, prokaryotic cell. Here the nuclear region is well defined with nuclear membrane. How the nuclear region is there? Nucleus, it is well defined. And with nuclear membrane. We can say here the nuclear region is poorly defined in case of prokaryotic cell. Another difference of the prokaryotic cell is that they do not have membrane bound cell organelles. We will study about the cell organelles. So cell organelles which have the membranes having membranes are absent. All those cell organelles which have membrane, they are absent from the prokaryotic cell, and eukaryotic cells have cell organelles with membranes are present. Membrane bound cell organelles are present. Normally in prokaryotic cell, we can also see that there is a single nucleus. Sometimes the nucleus is not many. In case of prokaryotic cell, single nucleus is present, or chromosome. Single chromosome, and here more than one chromosomes are present. So these are the differences of prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cell, they are smaller in size. Nuclear region do not have nuclear membrane. Cell organelles having membrane are absent, and single chromosomes are present. Eukaryotic cells, they are larger in size. Nuclear membrane is present. Cell organelles having membrane are present. More than one chromosomes are present. So after studying this, let us talk about cytoplasm. Something about cytoplasm also we will study now. cytoplasm. So we know where it is present. This is the cell membrane. Inside the cell membrane is nucleus. Between the cell membrane and the nuclear membrane, the space between them is covered with a jelly-like substance which is called as cytoplasm. So cytoplasm of eukaryotic cells contains many small structures, right, which have their own structure and own function. This is known as cell organelles. These organelles have their own structures and they have their own functions. So they are very important. Some of them are endoplasmic reticulum. In short, we write as ER, Golgi apparatus, ribosomes, mitochondria, etc. So we will study them in detail later.